What's going on, sci-fi fans? My name is Ben and welcome back to the bench, guys, for a very long anticipated return to Sci-Fi Wednesdays. We are going to go ahead and jump back in on the Millennium Falcon, the Lando Calrissian version. We're going to get this kit all finished up because I went to Star Wars Celebration and I am jazzed, ready to go. Let's build some Star Wars. Now, I haven't touched this since August of last year, and as you can see, boy, this is not at all near being finished, but we are actually closer than we look. We went ahead and lit up everything we wanted to go ahead and light. We've got the internal cockpit, we've got the living quarters, we've got the rear engine. We really do have a nice little pattern of lights, and I'm happy with that. However, I do want to go ahead and add in some of the fiber optics because I think that would really add a lot of character and interest to the model. But to do that, I want to make sure I can go ahead and paint the hull first before I go ahead and string those fiber optics. Now, the nice thing about Bandai kits is we can paint the upper and lower sections independently from each other. We don't have to have them attached and glued together in order for us to paint. We can do what we want. Now, there are some areas we could pick out on the undersurface that have some grays and some different colors to really give it some life, but on the upper surface, those are right now all decals. So we do have a lot of work to do. I've never used Bandai decals, but I think I'm going to go ahead and use those instead of painting just to see what they're like. Now, we're going to go ahead and start in first here though, guys, with gluing up the escape pod. I want to go ahead and mount that to the rear section of the hull. And then I want to go ahead and do a little bit of priming, a little bit of pre-shading, just to get this ready for our paint. Now, speaking of paint, I am deciding to use an Insignia White color here by Mission Models. This is going to be kind of my main go-to color for the entire Falcon. Then what I can do is I can come back and I can add in maybe some Tamiya Flat White just to go ahead and give it a little bit of interest in different colored panels. Then I can use a neutral gray or maybe a sky gray to go ahead and pick out certain other panels from the rest of the overall very stark white look. And then I think, yeah, we'll just turn our attention to the upper surface where we'll have, of course, a couple of panels to paint and then a ton of decals to go ahead and apply. But that'll be probably next episode. So let's go ahead and jump into our first time lapse here, and I want to go ahead and start working on gluing in some of the parts so they're very secure and stable. Then I want to grab some Staunerez gray primer. I'm going to come in, I'm going to overcoat everything with that. Then I can pre-shade with NATO black, and then we'll be ready to go ahead and see what we can do for the overall colors. Now, just to be on the safe side and to avoid any overspray issues, I'm going to go ahead and remove all the electronics. So I'll pull out the living quarters, pull off the engine, just put those aside because I don't want to fool with those right now. Then we don't have to worry about masking. We can just start painting and really get this thing moving. So let's go ahead and jump in there, guys. Let's grab that primer. Let's get this done. Let's have some fun, see what we can do. So we are back, and as you can see, we have primed and pre-shaded the entire Millennium Falcon, both the upper and lower surfaces. So far, this is looking pretty cool, but now we have to go ahead and try the top coat. And for that, I'm going to be using, like I said, Mission Models Insignia White. We're going to thin it out with some Vallejo airbrush thinner and maybe a little bit of flow improver. It seems to work pretty well. If it works, right? So we're just going to go with it, see what we can do. I'm going to keep the mixture very thin though, because I want to have kind of that contrast of that dark shade showing through. And then after this is done, we can come in with a little bit of Tamiya flat white, really thinned out, and then we can go over certain panels. We can actually add a bit of contrast even more to the overall paint. Once that's done though, I think that's going to be enough for us today. I want to make sure this has plenty of time to dry, because next time I want to come on back, hit a gloss coat, and maybe do some decaling. So anyway guys, let's go on to our second time lapse. Let's continue. Let's get everything painted and see what we can do with this Insignia White. Let's do it. All right, we are back, and this is how the Millennium Falcon is looking so far. As you can see, we've got our pre-shade showing through. We've got a nice bit of contrast between different panel lines, and this is pretty much what I was going for. Now, of course, next time we're going to have to come on back, and I think for the blue, we're going to go ahead and use the decals. I've never actually used the decals by Bandai, so I have no idea how they're going to go, but there's a lot of them and they are applied over the entire upper surface. There are a few on the lower surface as well, but I think we're going to go ahead and next time come on back and mask off certain sections and airbrush that just to give it a bit of contrast. Of course, since I have the color already painted, we can go ahead and grab the fiber optics and string those through, mushroom the very tip of that, pull it through so it takes up the entire space, and we're good to go. I'll also have to come back in and paint the grills on the back of the engines. The reason I didn't want to paint this now is because it's actually attached on to this clear blue part, and I don't really want to mess that up. So what I'll do, so when I'm ready for that, I'll pull off each individual piece and I'll apply it to a piece of tape so that I know exactly how they came off and exactly how they're going to go back on. That will be really helpful, I think, when we get everything painted. We can get everything put back right where it should go. For the undersurface of the ship, I actually glued the front escape pod on. I have not glued on this front nose on the upper surface. I want to make sure the fit is okay before I glue that together, so we'll have to tackle that next time. And of course, once I go ahead and start weathering, we have to go ahead and pull in maybe some darker shades coming off of these vents in the back because they tend to be a little bit on the darker side. So that is something we have to go ahead and consider. I just wanted to kind of get back in the swing of things, start back on Sci-Fi Wednesdays. Not a whole lot of an update today, but just a little bit to get going. So until our next episode, you guys know the drill. Go out there, get yourself some bench time, have some fun, build something cool. And we'll see you back here on episode number 9 of the Lando Calrissian Millennium Falcon here on Sci-Fi Wednesdays. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Take care, and we'll see you soon.